All right, welcome to Yin Yoga. We're going to be getting into the hips and the calves tonight, but really it's whole body. This practice is whole body. But I say that because you might need a ball for class today. If you don't have a ball, you could roll up a blanket and use it similarly. So you'll find your ball, set it over to the side, and we'll take just a moment to find our seat. So come to a comfortable seat. You can rock a little bit forward and back on your sitting bones until you find the very center of your sitting bones, and then lift up tall through your spine, reaching the crown of your head up. Tonight we're going to do a lotus mudra as just a little way we're going to open our class. So you would bring your pinky fingers together and your thumbs together, and you'd open your fingers wide. And we'll close the eyes all the way or halfway. We'll take a large breath in, inhale, filling up your lungs, your heart space. And as you exhale, let it all go. And we'll do that again. Inhale to fill you up. And exhale to let it go. And continue to breathe and start to visualize a ball of light in between your palms, this pulsating, glowing ball of light. And as you breathe into this light, can you watch it expand, get wider as you inhale? And as you exhale, allow that ball to contract a little more into the center of your palms, getting a little smaller. So we'll let our inhale inflate the ball. And exhale, contract the ball. And continue to breathe. 3 more breaths. And then we'll take 1 breath together. Inhale fills you up all the way. Hold it at the top. Exhale, let it go. And you can either fold your hands into your heart, bringing that light into your heart, or you can float the light up above you and just let your hands touch down. And so we're going to start with just opening the hips a little bit gradually, and then we'll get a little deeper there. So you can take your hands behind you and bend your knees, plant your feet on the floor, and just do a little windshield wiper just to undo that cross-legged seat for a moment. And then we're going to come into a deer pose. So you're going to take your left knee, bend it back, and you're going to take your right knee bent as well. But your right knee back, left shin forward. Yeah. And then we'll take a moment to check in with where we're at. So if you need to pad your ankle or your knee with a blanket, please do that. We are going to be here for a little bit. And then sit up nice and tall as you press down on your mat. Your choices can be to stay here, or to feel a little more of a stretch in the thigh, you might shift your hands back and lean back. So I have a wall behind me. Oops. I'm going to turn to the side. And so shifting back could look like a little bit of a shift, or some people are able to go really far back. But we'll take our time here. You'll have an opportunity to deepen this as we breathe along. And so we're looking to feel the front of the thigh open up, that right thigh, maybe even that right hip. If you want to deepen this a little bit further, and you don't want to travel further back, what you can do is you can push into your legs, lift your hips, curl your tailbone under, and that little pelvic tilt can bring you into a deeper stretch. You can also take your left foot on the ground, push into the ground. That can help deepen as well. It might start to feel natural to walk a little further back every minute or so, or every 30 seconds. We'll remain here for about 2 more minutes. Letting your breath be the thing that grounds you to this present moment. Inhale fully. Exhale fully. Leaning into the sensation, giving those sensations your undivided attention. We'll be here for a little bit longer. And since we'll be here for about 10 more breaths or so, if it feels all right to lower one forearm down, or maybe even both forearm down to the ground, you might do that for the last few moments. I know it's not for everyone all the time, but if it feels like it's calling to you, I would listen to that. Let's take one more breath here. And then as you exhale, we're going to unwind, and we're actually going to take a forward fold before we go to the other side. So you'll extend your legs out in front of you, and you can be hip width. Press into the ground, lift the heart up, lift the spine tall as you inhale. And exhale, round over your legs, but let your head get really, really heavy. Shake your head no, nod your head yes. We'll be here for about 10 breaths, so not your longest pose, but just a way to neutralize the body. Take one more breath here, inhale fully. And then as you exhale, slowly round through your back. Stack yourself up, and then we'll do the other side. So now you'll bend your left knee back to the side of the room, and then your right shin will be parallel to the front of your mat, the wall you're facing. And then you can test the water. So just starting upright, it's normal for the two thighs to feel very different. So we want to honor, if this side needs something else, we want to listen to that. So you might just stay here and lift up through your spine and hang out for a while until things start to soften. Or you might walk your hands back a little bit, notice how that feels. If you need more sensation from here, I wouldn't travel the hands further back. Instead, I would press into the legs, lift the hips, tuck the tailbone under, and then lower down. So it really changes the quality in the stretch. That left thigh gets an opportunity to deepen. So yeah, we'll stay here. We are kind of locking out our elbows here. That's okay in yin. You can also bring your right foot on the floor, push into the floor to help you lean back even more. And we'll just linger here for a little bit before we make more choices. Notice where the breath is moving in your body. Can you feel it move into those areas that feel a little elusive or stagnant? So maybe the back of the rib cage, the back body. You're welcome to stay here. You're welcome to progress further back if that feels like a good idea. We do want to keep our left leg on the floor at all times. We'll be here for one more minute. So be really curious about your breath. If you need something to focus on, notice how you can increase the capacity of each breath, how you can release further when you exhale. And we'll take our final 10 breaths. We'll take one more breath in. And as you exhale, we'll press off our hands. We're going to come back into that forward fold just as before. Only this time, we'll have a little more of an option for like more of a flat back if you want to try that on. So starting with a flatter back. Press into the floor, rise up through your spine, get long in your waist. Flex your feet just for this moment, we'll activate now and release later. And then hinge forward over your legs with a flat back. Feel your low belly start to connect to your thighs. And then once you can't hinge any further with a flat back, then round your spine. Then let your legs go soft. Then let everything soften. Shake your head no, nodding yes. Direct the focus of your breath into your back. With each exhale, can your head become heavier? Can you find a little more pull of traction in your spine? We'll take a final breath here. Inhale. And as you exhale, slowly curl through your spine. Let your head be the last thing to stack up. And then you're welcome to lean back. And if you like, you can bend your knees, windshield wiper your feet if that calls to you. We are going to move into some calf release with the ball now. We're going to do a few ways, but let's just start with a more gentle way. So depending on how hard your ball is, that'll affect how you approach this calf release, the different options. We'll give like a gentle option and then a bit more intense. So you'll start by resting your right calf on the ball. So I'm going to scoot back so maybe you can see the ball a little better because it's blue and my mat's blue. So right now I'm just resting my right calf on the ball. And for some of us, there's a lot of sensation right away. For others, not so much. And the heavier you allow this leg to be, the more sensation. So you can kind of lean to your right and then just start by pointing and flexing your right foot with that ball under your calf. So this is just a place to start, and you might stay. So this is known as scrubbing the fascia. We're doing some trigger point release right now. The connective tissue or fascia gets a little blood flow and is encouraged to lengthen and relax. Okay, so this is option one. Option two is to cross your left leg on top, and then you still would point and flex. Right, and then, of course you can readjust, like you can move the ball an inch further down or an inch further up and just kind of play with where it feels a little maybe more intense. So that's option two. So option one leg, option two, two legs. Option three is going to be very much more active. It's a bit of core work. It's a bit of arm work. So just know that if you're going to try it, what you're going to do is you're going to lean into your hands, pull your belly up under your ribs, lift up, and then you're just going to roll a bit forward and back. And that bottom heel, I think, will probably drag on the floor. I feel like to float it off would be way too much. But you're kind of scrubbing the calf, and this is the kind of thing you get in and you get out and then you're done. So you'll roll a few times through and then you'll call it a day. And then just set your legs side by side, flex your feet, point your feet, kind of notice how that movement might have shifted between the 2 feet, and then reach up and then fold over your legs and then just see where you land. Notice what it feels like to be in a forward fold for that right calf release, that left calf we've not released. All right, so now we kind of know where we're going with the second side. So we're going to take that little ball under kind of the meatiest part of our calf, I guess. And then just start by pressing your body weight into that ball, and then point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. And then you might, adjust it a little bit lower, higher, inner, outer, depending on, where it might be interesting. So that's option one. If you're not feeling a whole lot, that means you want to move that ball an inch or two somewhere until you do, because usually there's all kinds of good stuff here. So then crossing the ankles is the next step. Pointing and flexing the feet can be interesting. And you might just stay here. If your hands are up for it, if your core is up for it, and you did it on the first side, you probably want to do it again, although this calf is way tighter. So you're going to push into your bottom heel, push into your hands, and then you're just going to pull yourself forward and back. You have to pull your belly up and in to kind of slide your hips forward and back. It's not the easiest self-massage in the world, but again, you get in, you get out. So we'll do like four or five more of these. A little bit of yang today, and then you'll let it go. And then we'll notice how our forward fold feels again, lifting up and folding forward. And maybe feels like a clearing in the back of the legs. All right, we're going to continue this calf stretch journey. So we're going to go like a little bit more intense, and then we'll do a third calf thing, which will be even a little bit more intense. So we're going to use our ball later. You can set it off to the side. And we're going to use our shin bone now as a massage tool for our calf. So my right calf, we'll start with the right calf. My left shin is going to press into my right calf muscle. So I'll show you how to do that. It's kind of an odd thing. Let's see, what's the best direction? Okay, so from hands and knees, I'm going to open my left knee out to the left, and then I'm going to hook my left shin bone all the way up to the right behind my right knee. So my left knee is turned out like a dog at a fire hydrant, and then you just simply sit back on that calf or on that shin, and your calf is being smashed by your shin bone. It's very sensational. And if you're not feeling the sensation, bring your leg higher up behind your knee and you'll feel it more. So we'll take about 10 breaths here. And again, we're doing a lot of things where we're bearing weight on our hands today. We'll get away from that in a moment, but just take that few breaths here. Breath is key for this kind of release work we're doing. Take one more breath in, and then as you exhale, you'll travel forward again. Now, we went to the highest part of our calf. Now we're gonna go to the medius part of our calf, the middle part of our calf. So again, you'll kind of dog at a fire hydrant, and then you take it to a new part of your calf, and then sit back. Yes. So they call your calves the second heart. They do a lot of work, pumping the blood up the body. And they sort of don't get as much attention as they might deserve regularly. So we're giving them a lot of attention this class. We'll take a few more moments here. Let's take 3 big breaths, really big. Inhale. Exhale, let it go. Last 2. Last breath in. And then come forward, unwind, and then I like to come into a child's pose after that, so you can kind of compare the 2 legs in a way. So we'll bring the knees wide, big toes together, sit your hips back to your heels, and pause. Notice how you feel in your right calf versus your left. Maybe that affects your right leg a little differently, and you can compare it to your left leg. All right, we'll do the other side. So coming up, this time, keep your left leg where it is. Right knee opens like a dog at a fire hydrant, and then take that shin all the way up to right behind the knee. And then sit back. And sitting back could be any degree of sitting back. You do not have to sit back all the way. You could even be like really far forward, most of the weight in your arms and some of the weight on that calf. And it's very common for one calf to be different than the other. So do note that about yourself as it's coming up. And that's a way you can better take care of yourself when you stretch. Let's take 4 more breaths here. This is my much tighter side, so I'm bracing myself with the wall. Let's take 1 more breath in. And then as you exhale, come out, only to transition a little bit lower. So you're going to take that shin a little further down to the middle of your calf. And then you'll sit back again and breathe. And you could always weight shift right and left. That gets a little more release. We'll take 3 more breaths. Ooh, and then come forward. All right. And then child's pose. We're actually going to stay in child's pose now as yin pose. We've been doing kind of a lot of moving, and I want to kind of slow it down. So get comfortable in this child's pose. That might mean spreading out a blanket under your legs. That might mean taking a prop under your chest, but you can reach your arms up, have your forehead or one cheek on the floor. You can also take your palms up alongside your feet. And we're just going to soften here. And we'll be here a little bit longer for 10 more breaths. I invite you to take each of those 10 breaths into the back part of your lungs. Let your inhale expand and inflate your low back. Allow your exhale to make your bones heavy. One final breath, inhale fully. And as you exhale, let's pick yourself up and we will grab our ball. We're going to go back to a little more trigger point on the front of the hip, so the hip flexor area. So before we lie down, I just want to show you where we're going with this ball. So your frontal hip bones that kind of jut forward, you're going to find that little bony part of your hip bone. You're going to bring the ball in 2 inches and then down 2 inches. So kind of like right where the bikini line would be. That's where you want to situate the ball. And then you're going to lie on your belly from there. So lying down, I'm starting with my right hip. You can follow along with me here. All right. So like when you're sitting in a chair, you're sitting at all, your hip gets flexed, right? We know this. And so this is a great opportunity to stretch back out those muscles, that tissue, and just know, just being here is enough. This will counter sitting in a chair, but I will give you options to deepen and just know that they're optional. Okay, so you can start on your forearms and you can weight shift, lean to the right, lean your body weight into the ball. You can also lean away from the ball, and you can even do this multiple times just to focus a little more sensation, a little more release in your hip flexor. That's one option you could take. Another option could be to lie all the way down on your belly and breathe into that where that ball is. Another option you could take is to stay lying on your belly, but pick up your right foot and just kind of wave your foot right and left. If that feels like not enough sensation, you could hover your right thigh or right knee off the mat and then relax it down. Hover the right thigh off the mat, relax it down. So you're applying quite a bit of pressure. Another option you could take is not lift the knee up, but relax it down and then find the Sphinx pose again. And then you could wag your leg right and left. So you're just, it's playful. You're trying to figure out what works, what is the most interesting version of this for you, and stick with that. And that doesn't mean the hardest, right? And I like to be in Sphinx and I like to lean to my right, stay leaning to my right, and then just wag my leg. That feels like something's getting released. We'll be here a little bit longer. Now, of course, if you want to kind of push into your feet and roll across the ball, that is an option. That's just going to be really intense, and this is a yin class. So but that's another option you could take. I'm going to be here for 10 more breaths, so choose whatever version of this feels good to you.
We'll take one final breath here. And then like let that ball release. And then notice what it's like to lie flat on your belly without that ball. Maybe you feel something opening in the back, or maybe blood flow to an area. Maybe a clearing feeling. Maybe the left leg just feels compacted, or just a different sensation altogether. And then we'll go into the second side. So you can just slip the ball. So you go from the front of the hip bone 2 inches in, and then 2 inches down, sort of in that bikini-like area. And then you could either stay lying on your back. I like to kind of wiggle around until I feel like a sensitive sensation. And that's how I know I'm where I want to be. And then check out that you can breathe there, even though it's sensitive. And then you can lie all the way down on your belly and just practice your breath work here, breathing deeply into that ball, letting it all go. You could rock right and left, rocking to the left, leaning into the ball makes it more intense, leaning away from the ball lightens it a bit. And this is a way of scrubbing the fascia, stimulating the connective tissue in a way that helps to release it further. You can come up onto your forearms as well and do the same thing. A little more intense. You can, if you want to play with laying all the way down, bending your left knee and swaying the leg, or the much more intense version is to bring the leg to center and then lift the sole of the foot up to the ceiling, lift the kneecap off the ground and then lower it down. Lift that thigh and lower. It's a lot bigger sensation. You know, you can do that up as well. It's the same sort of intense feeling. Yeah, and so you can play with what works for you. I'm going to choose leaning to my left and kind of flagging my leg right and left. And we'll take 4 more breaths wherever you're at. Take a full breath in. And then as you exhale, let it all go. You can release your ball and just simply lie on your belly, pause, check in with your 2 hips, your 2 legs. Notice how they're a little different now, maybe, and probably similar in some ways now. All right, so it's all connected. We open the front of the hips now. It's good to open up the low back, trigger point style after that. So I'll show you. You can just watch where the placement is. So we never want this ball on any bones. We want it on muscle and tissue instead. So you're going to locate the back of your hips. So right above your sacrum, right above the triangle bone where your the waistband would be of your pants, you're going to take that ball just to the right of your spine. So it feels like it's hitting your low back before your butt, right? So just above your butt. And then you're going to lie on your back. Now, this is just a general area, and then you're going to finesse it from there. So go ahead and just start lying there and noticing. Notice your breath. Is it deep and rounded and relaxed, or is it really tense? We don't need a very intense feeling. We just need some sort of sensation that feels kind of breathable, that we can sink our bodies into. So you can either stay here or you can move the ball up a little higher, a little lower. There's usually muscle there that it kind of feels like you're hitting a muscle at some point.
you hit it and you can feel the muscle, like the side of it, like it runs up and down your body parallel to your spine. And it's sensitive. So that could be one area to focus on. And so we're going to just lay here and breathe into that right low back. And you can reposition it maybe a little closer to your spine. Feels like you're getting there more. So there's a lot of options. You could just stay here and breathe, which is more than enough. You could windshield wiper your knees slightly. Now beyond that, it gets a little more intense. You come to center and you can draw your right knee into your chest, and that will definitely increase the pressure of your body against the ball. And then after you do that, if you need more sensation, you can sort of circle the knee around a few times each way. And there's other versions. You could make a tabletop leg and stir as well. It's just kind of up to you. You could do pelvic tilts, rocking forward and back. So there's a playful element to this, trying to feel sensation in a way that works for us, that is interesting, that is breathable. I'm gonna hang out here for about 10 more breaths. And then we'll go ahead and take one final breath together. And then you can go ahead and release and just check out how you feel. Maybe both legs are long or both knees are bent. Notice the space created in your low back, your right low back area. Maybe one leg feels longer as well. And then we'll do the other side. So you'll plant your feet, can shift away to the right and then slip that ball. So it'll be right at the back of your waistline of your pants at the back, just to the left of your spine, low back area. Usually that area is tender on most of us. So sometimes we just slip the ball there, we immediately feel sensation. It might not be necessary to shift around, but you might want to explore a little higher or even a little lower from where you started. And then breathe. You're welcome to stay here. You can start to do some pelvic tilts, rocking your pelvis forward, rocking it back. Just kind of noticing what that feels like. You could also sway your knees right and left, right and left. Yeah, so we'll be here for a little bit of time. You can explore all the things we did on the first side. You could, if it feels all right, to draw the knee into the chest and pause there. That might be interesting. You could raise your leg up to tabletop, stir the leg around. Yeah, so there's a lot of options along the way. We'll hang out here for a little bit longer. You choose your adventure. Let's take our final breath here. Inhale fully. And as you exhale, release that ball. Notice what space it cleared or created. You can extend your legs as you did that previously, and just notice what Where is there similarity in the right and left halves of your body? We are going to roll to the side next and come to hands and knees. We're moving on to pigeon pose. Ooh, so you're gonna roll to the side, make your way up. And so coming to pigeon, we want to start with the hands and knees. And then you're going to take your right knee just behind your right wrist, and then slide your right foot across your mat. And start to curl your back toes under, start to crawl that leg back in space quite a bit. And then you'll round into your kind of in a forward fold. You're welcome to stick a prop under your chest or your arms here. Just gonna let our gravity have us for a moment. Of course, you could lie on your back and take reclined pigeon instead, also known as number 4 stretch. We'll be here a little bit longer. Notice your jaw. Is it wanting to tense up? Can you part your back teeth? Let's take one more breath. Inhale fully. And as you exhale, you'll come out of this. Maybe you lie on your back, maybe you press up, maybe you find child's pose, but come to something neutral and comfortable, and you can get a clear read of the 2 hips. And then we'll come up and do it all again. So you'll find hands and knees one last time. Take your left knee behind your left wrist. Left leg sweeps across, and then start to crawl your right leg back pretty far back in space. And then untuck your toes once you get it back there. And start to lengthen your spine first. Take an inhale. Exhale, fold over that leg. Just allow yourself to mellow. There's a lot of work getting here. Now we can just let things soften.
be here a little bit longer. See if you can direct your breath into where you're noticing that stretch, that outer left glute area. Let's take one more breath in. And exhale, release. And if you took whatever shape you took previously, take that again, just so you can check in with yourself and notice what shifted in your hips. So if you took child's pose like I did, you come to that one more time. Notice your two hips, how they have shifted. Maybe there's a little more balance after that. Then we'll go ahead and transition to our back. And we'll take a moment just to get comfortable in our body before we take rest. So that might mean hugging your knees into your chest. And rocking across the low back for a few moments. Maybe your knees kind of move to the right and you gaze to the left, and then your knees move to the left and you gaze to the right. Kind of this alternating thing here. Or maybe if you feel like it's interesting to grab your feet and take happy baby and just do a little happy baby moment. But ultimately we'll make our way into our final pose, Shavasana. And I've been playing with putting a prop. It doesn't necessarily have to be a bolster. It could be a pillow or anything. If you want to feel like experimental today, you could just stick a prop on your torso for Shavasana, and it makes an interesting kind of feeling. Grounding is what you might get from it. So we'll hang out here for a few moments and rest. Shavasana.
And we'll take a deep breath in. Fill up all the way. Exhale, let it go. And you can start to move your fingers and toes, circle the wrist and ankle. Just take your time in stretching, transitioning from your Shavasana to a seated pose. We'll take just a moment to sit and give a little bit of gratitude for ourselves today for showing up and practicing. So we'll close our practice with that lotus mudra that we started with. You can take your pinky fingers together, thumbs, open fingers in the middle. Visualize that little golden ball of light at the center of your palms, pulsating, alive. We'll take 3 breaths into that golden ball of light. Inhale, fill up. Exhale. Inhale, the golden light expands. And exhale, it contracts. One more, inhale. And then you can gather that golden light into your heart or float it up to the sky, whatever feels natural. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti, peace, peace, peace.